السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. On behalf of Darul Division and on behalf of Darul, we would like to warmly welcome you to DBS Auditorium for a series of talks by Bro Idris Tawfiq from England and Egypt. We're planning it to have a center, and this is the first of a series of 4 talks, and the title is Road to the Arqam. To begin, we shall have the welcome of Brother Mahdi Kasbi, who will recite the Quran, Surah Al-Imran, verses 159 to 163. Welcome, Brother Mahdi.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. إن ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم وإن يخذلكم فمن ذا الذي ينصركم من بعده وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون. وما كان لنبي أن يغل ومن يغل يأت بما غل يوم القيامة ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. أفمن اتبع رضوان الله كمن باء بسخط من الله ومأواه جهنم هم درجات عند الله والله بصير بما يعملون صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. جزاكم الله خير for the beautiful recitation. Could I ask the crowd to give it a round of applause? My apologies, I don't introduce myself. My name is Hafiz, I'm a long-time volunteer at Arqam. I'm co-chairing this talk with Brother Muhammad Jibril, who's the man with the black shirt. So, shall I welcome now Brother Jibril and Brother Idris Tawfiq on stage. Idris Tawfiq's voice. He speaks with very nice English accent. It's so nice because I studied in Scotland, so I'm used to the British accent. But when I got to Manchester, but Idris graduated from University of Manchester, I couldn't understand how the Vancouverans speak. I couldn't understand at all. So when I asked Brother Idris Tawfiq, he gave me a very impression of the people of Manchester. Let me allow my co-chairman, right, Brother Muhammad Jibril, to read to you the synopsis of the talk as well as the brief profile of Brother Idris Tawfiq.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are very fortunate to have Brother Idris Tawfiq all the way from Egypt to give us a talk on the Road to the Heart. Okay, a small CV biography of Brother Idris Tawfiq will be: he is an accomplished British Muslim writer. He is currently lecturing in Al-Azhar University, and he has also taught international Syria for the last 2 years before. And he has considerable experience in leading retreats with old and young people, and also in dealing with them, explaining matters of faith to them in order to understand Islam better. Okay, Brother Idris also writes a weekly column in the newspapers in Egypt where he resides, namely the Egyptian Gazette, Egyptian Mail, and the South Al-Azhar, the newspaper of the university itself. Okay, and he's also the author of 8 Muslim books, namely Introduction to Islam, Talking to the Young Muslims, Talking to New Muslims, Talking to Muslims in the West, Talking about Ramadan, and talking about other faiths, Calling others to Islam, and Looking for Peace in the Land of the Prophets. And our brother Idris Tawfiq, he has traveled all over the globe and has spoken about Islam in over 40 universities and has made over 100 television programs. Today, we are fortunate to have him to talk to us. And before I hand the mic over to him, I would just like to seek your cooperation in switching off your mobile phones or sending them off to the silent mode.
And let me just add, Brother Idris Tawfiq will speak for 45 minutes. Right? We'll then follow with questions and answers. We've been asked to at 9:30 p.m. Okay, so this is short time, but we also need to get
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most compassionate, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the world. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon the message of Muhammad. The peace and the blessings and the mercy of Allah Almighty be upon each one of you here this evening. You honor me. You really honor me inviting me to your beautiful island nation once more. It's so clean. It really is something. I left Cairo yesterday morning. I landed in your airport today, and I went, not a speck of dust anywhere. Inshallah, more than specks of dust on the road. The Muslims of Singapore will give the example that there's not a speck of dust in our hearts. It's all very well being clean. But let's be clean in our lives and the way we speak and the good example we give to others. So you honor me in giving up your time. If here are a few words I have to say. You know more about Islam than I do. You've been Muslim all your lives. I've been Muslim for what, 11 years. So you know more than I do. All I'm doing is I'm telling you things that you know already, but maybe saying them in a way that you've never heard before. That's all I do. Because when you come, many of you are new to Islam like me, and when you come to Islam from somewhere else, you ask questions. You know, why do we do this? And sometimes we take our Islam for granted. It's like sometimes we take the most important things in life for granted. We take our husbands and wives and our children and our good health, we take it for granted. And when they've been taken from us, we cry our eyes out. But Islam is like that. And sometimes, you know, we take it so much for granted that it's only when it slipped through our fingers and we've lost it that we realize what we once had. You know, for those who are Muslim in this place tonight, of all the people in the world, He chose you to be Muslim. He chose you to be Muslim. Now, before we begin, I'm going to start with an idea I use in every talk I ever give anywhere in the world. So if you've heard this introduction before, forgive me, but it's so important it needs repeating. And I'll say it each night that I'm here. And the introduction is this: I don't know why I'm here in this place, DBS Auditorium, in Singapore tonight. I don't know why I'm here. Obviously, I didn't just turn up. I didn't turn up at the door. Someone invited me, so I'm here because I was invited. But why exactly I'm here, I don't know. I don't know why Allah has brought me to this place to speak to you tonight. But there's one thing I know with absolute certainty, that He who created the heavens and the earth and everything in between at the beginning of time, when He was making the moon and the stars and everything that exists, He planned that I would be here tonight. He planned that I would be talking tonight in Singapore in the DBS Auditorium. It was His plan. Now, as Muslims, we're pretty stupid, really. Allah is with us all the time. He's walking by our side throughout our lives, holding our hands most of the time, sometimes giving us a little push, sometimes giving us a bit of a kick, because we're slow to hear what He has to say. But if He planned from the beginning of time that we're all here tonight, well, common sense tells us that He has something to say. Now, I don't know all of you. I must say I'm delighted to recognize so many faces that came into the hall. And inshallah, I'll get to know more people while I'm here in Singapore. But I don't know the majority of people. It could be, I don't know, there's someone in this hall this evening, a Muslim, who doesn't pray. And Allah Almighty has brought me from Cairo, and He's brought you from all your homes in Singapore tonight as actors in the drama for that one person. He's brought us all here just for that one person tonight. It could be that someone in this room, is tempted to drink alcohol or to do things we shouldn't be doing. And Allah has brought us all here tonight just for you. And it could be as well, in a few days' time, you won't even remember my name. So what I have to say is not that important. It's what Allah will say to you that's important. And maybe He'll say it not through me at all. Maybe Allah Almighty will speak to you tonight on the way home. You might meet someone on the metro or on the bus, and they'll say something that touches your heart. But this event was the thing that brought that about, you understand? So all I would invite you to do tonight is to bear in mind that when Allah created everything, He planned that you would be here. He planned that you would, because He wants to tell you something. I don't know what it is, I have no idea. And what I have to say is not all that important. You can hear it anywhere, really. So listen to Him. Listen to what He's got to say. I've made you all look very serious now, so when the introduction was given, the brother said, I've written 8 books, so I've written 9. I have a new book. And just as my last book, Looking for Peace to the Land of the Prophets, which is about Palestine, was first revealed to the world in Singapore, well, my new book, Gift of the Nile Land of Faith, which is about Egypt, is revealed to the world in Singapore too. Now this book, it's an interesting book. By the way, I'm not here to sell my book. But it's important. This has bearing on what we're talking about tonight. This book it's kind of what you might call a tourist book. It's a tourist book about Egypt. So you pick up the book and you read all the different places in Egypt that you go and visit. The Mosque of Sultan Hassan, many places, Abu Simbel, all sorts of the Alexandria Library. And you can read it in 2 ways. You can read about the interesting places. Oh yeah, that's interesting. But then at the end of each section, there's a little quotation from the Holy Quran. And I invite people to ask themselves, what did visiting the Quranic temples at Abu Simbel, what did it teach you about life and the hereafter? And really, that's what we're talking about tonight. As people of faith, that's the important word. As people of faith, we should be seeing all things in the eyes of faith and hearing Allah Almighty speak to us all the time. But because we take Him for granted, we miss out on so much. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that the one who does not taste the sweetness and the goodness of Islam in this world will not taste its sweetness and goodness in the next. And I think he was talking about Muslims. He was talking about Muslims. This world is sweet and good if only we have the eyes to see it. All created by Him. So that's what we're talking about this evening, really. But I mentioned the book at the start because there's a place in Egypt called Khala Khalili. It's like a tourist bazaar in old town Cairo. And in fact, I'll read you from there. And I'll be using this bookmark. I've never had a bookmark after me before, but I've seen there's a bookmark, so I'll put it in my book. And it starts like this. The chapter begins like this. It's called It's All Waiting for You, Khala Khalili. Welcome. I've been waiting for you all day. Such is the greeting, or something like it, when you enter Cairo's famous Khala Khalili. The stallholders are well versed in every line that might entice passers-by to pause for just a moment and engage in conversation. They know that once a conversation begins, a sale is possible. Respond to their approach and your money is as good as parted with already. Even when you reply to the question, what are you looking for, sir, is a cool, nothing, I'm not looking for anything. The riposte will be just as quick, I have plenty of nothing. Step inside and look. Now that's how I start the thing. But I end it by say what's important about it. Because just as the young man in the Khan has been waiting for you all day, the point of the article about the Khan is to say that Allah Almighty has not just been waiting for us all day. He's been waiting for us all our lives to come back to Him. To come back to Him. And He's waiting. He doesn't force us. Allah Almighty doesn't force us to be good. We can do anything we want in this world. Pray or not pray. Wear hijab or not wear hijab, He doesn't force us. But He's waiting for us to give us the best that we could possibly get in this world and next. So that's how we begin. When Prophet Muhammad finally entered Mecca at the head of a Muslim army, he entered the Kaaba and he smashed all of the idols inside. There were many idols inside the Kaaba. And he put an end once and for all to idol worship. All of them were smashed and destroyed. So idol worship, the worshipping of idols, has no place in Islam. And I would guess that none of you in your home have any idols. You don't have any wooden statues that you bow down to and worship, or stone idols outside the door that you kiss the foot of as you go into your home. You don't have that. We don't do that as Muslims. But you know there are idols in our hearts that we worship just as surely as if we had a wooden statue in our city. And we worship them more than we worship Allah Almighty. With our lips we say, La ilaha illallah, there's no God but the one God in heaven, Allah. But by our actions we show something else. What do I mean? Well, we're watching the football on the TV, and we're really keen on what's going on, and half time comes. And during the first half, the adhan came to Salat al-Asr. So there's just enough time in half time to rush off, throw a bit of water on our socks, a bit of water here, say the prayers as fast as we can, and then rush back for the second half of the football. And all we're thinking about during the prayers is the football. Our prayer, I'm going to be talking about prayer one of these nights, our prayer will find us out. If you can't think prayerful thoughts when you're praying, it's because your life is centered around things that are not prayerful. You have to prepare well. We'll be talking about preparing for prayer. But your prayer will catch you out. If, for example, you work so hard, you go out every morning to work to put food on the table for your wife and kids. You work really hard, and you do it. Your whole heart is in it, looking after your kids, to take them on holiday, to pay the bills. But you come home at night, and you're so exhausted that all you can do is slump in the chair in front of the television. And your son comes, Ahmed, and he says, Daddy, will you explain this to me in my homework? And you say, oh son, I'm so tired. Go and ask your mom. What are you working for? What are we working so hard for? We haven't got time to give to our children. Is that not an idol? We're worshipping. Work has become, it can be very thick, it can be shoes. Shoes are so important to us. Going out to the mall, we go in the mall, in many malls in Singapore, more than any I've seen anywhere. And when Salat al-Asr is called, when your watch goes off for Salat al-Asr, you say to your friend, oh, we've still got time. Let's just go and look at those new hijabs. There's a shop down here that has really used the best hijabs going. And your friend says, yeah, it's okay, we've got time. Or maybe you're going out at night and your parents say to you, I want you home at 10. Okay, I want you home at 10. And you love your parents. Well, that's what you say. You say you love them. But your friends say, oh, stay a little bit more. Stay longer. And you come home at 11. When you're worshipping other things, what Allah wants is that you love your parents and do what your parents say. But your actions are doing something else. They're saying, yeah, I do love you, really, but I'm to save my friends, and I'm not going to do what you want. idols in our hearts. Many, it could be football, it could be TV, it could be the internet. You know how much time we spend on the internet chatting to girls in New York with blonde hair. I'm giving her dower. Really wake up, dower. We're giving many things, it's not dower. You know, we spend lots of time on things that are not of Allah. And what's the result? Our hearts are never happy. That's the result. Our hearts are never happy. I don't know about the Singapore situation, so I won't speak about Singapore, but in many countries of the world, drugs are big, especially young people. Drugs are a big thing. And youngsters take them, but drugs don't make you happy. You can't find happiness in drugs or in drink, or in having girlfriends and boyfriends, all of this kind of that won't bring you happiness. Having a bigger house won't make you happy. If you get one house, and when you've got the house of your dreams, you want another house, a bigger one. You know, you have one holiday, and you want another holiday. Nothing can satisfy us. Nothing can make us happy. You know, there's a saint in the Christian tradition, Saint Augustine of Hippo, an Arab, and he wrote, "You have made us, O Lord, for yourself, and our hearts will find no rest until they rest in you." Very beautiful. You've made us, O Lord, for yourself, and our hearts will find no rest until they rest in you. In the Holy Quran, we read, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah will hearts find rest." Not in watching football or acquiring more things. That won't make us happy. The remembrance of Allah will make us happy. Allah Almighty knows what will make us happy. He made everything to start with. If you go to one of your malls and buy yourself a new CD player, okay, you take the CD player home and you take it out of the box, and it would be a foolish man or woman that didn't just read the instructions briefly to see how it worked. You know, you just need to check the manual. If you don't follow the latest instructions, you break the thing. Well, Allah Almighty has given us instructions on how to live. He made everything. He is the maker. And He gave us all instructions on how to find happiness in this world and the next. But often we're so keen to get on with things that we forget the maker's instructions, and we end up breaking. It's only breaking our own hearts, but our hearts are ours as well. And then the remembrance of Allah will hearts find us. You know, we want, my very dear brothers and sisters, we want to be better people. We do. No one wants to be a bad person. We want to be better people. But things just pull us down, don't they? You know, we spend time in prayer, in reading Quran, and we resolve, I'm not going to be selfish anymore. You know, when I go into the office, I'm going to get on with everyone. But you turn up at the office and those same people are still there, the people you want to wring their necks. And at the end of the day, all of those good intentions are gone. Partly because if Allah Almighty had wanted us to be made of wood, He had made us of wood. He made us of flesh and blood. That's what He chose us to be. He didn't make us angels. If He wanted you to be an angel, He would have made you an angel. If He wanted you to be a stone, He would have made you a stone. But He made you a man. He made you a woman. Flesh and blood. And that's what He wanted you to be. But we've got to follow His instructions in order that we live as real men and as real women. You know, living life to the full. I'm going off my topic a bit, but I'm here for 4 days, so we can do some other stuff. We may have some extra time to show this stuff. But you know, often we think we know the answer to things. And really we don't know the answer at all. We don't know what to do. We do things as Muslims. We wear hijab, for example. And half the time we have no idea what we're doing wearing hijab. We don't know what we, you know, sometimes I do a workshop for sisters, and sometimes for brothers there as well. And I say to them, why do the sisters wear hijab? hijab and asked the brothers to us. And the brothers said, oh, it's to do with concealing their beauty. And I say, okay, well that's one of them. If it's about concealing their beauty, they're not making a very good job of it. Because they're very beautiful. So if it's to do with concealing your beauty, they're not really achieving the aim at all. I can say that to you sisters because I'm old. Okay? They're very beautiful. So why do they matter? So what, give me another answer. Oh, well it's to cover their hair. Yeah, why? Because men are attracted to women's hair. Are they? I think so. You know, and our answers are stupid. Our answers are stupid. But you see, not only the boys don't understand what it's about, we're not talking about hijab tonight, by the way. The boys don't know, but also the girls often bring into the clue. You go walking in the street, and there's a sister, hijab, and every little wisp of hair is pushed away, you know? But she's wearing tight jeans and full makeup. And you say to yourself, what's going on? Well, did no one ever tell her why she's wearing it to start with? No one explained what she's wearing it for. You know, what about those sisters who get on the plane in Saudi Arabia? They get on the plane in Riyadh. They're top to toe in black. And they get off the plane in Singapore with long, blonde, flowing hair. Well, did no one explain to them what it's about? Obviously they didn't. You know, we're talking about the road to the heart. It's what's in here that will find us out, not what we say. You know, not what we dress up as. We think we dress up as whatever we want. And people can say to us, oh, she's a very good Muslim. She's a good Muslim. But we know we're not. And Allah certainly knows. We call ourselves Muslims. We don't even get up in the morning to pray. Who are we trying to fool? Muslims. In Ramadan, you know, we all want to be better. And in Ramadan, even the most dissolute young man in Ramadan will try his best to be a good Muslim again. So he'll give up cigarettes, and he'll resolve to pray 5 times a day, and recite the whole of the Quran, and get up in the middle of the night to say extra prayers, and think good thoughts, and not look at girls, and do all the things impossibly nice. And at the end of the first week, when he can't cope with it anymore, he gives it all up and says, oh, I can't manage it. So that Ramadan is gone. You know, to a greater or lesser degree, we all fit into that. You know? Our good intentions often come to nothing. Why? Because there's something missing to start with. You know, you can't just do holy things all of a sudden. You can't turn the religious tap on and off. You've got to be religious. You've got to be a spiritual person to be religious. You can't just turn it, it's like praying. You can't just be on the internet chatting all night long. And then it comes to Aisha time and you go off and think thoughts about, you know, rabbits and rainbows and flowers. You won't be thinking about what you were thinking about on the internet. So the stuff it's about the heart. It's about the head, obviously. It's about the head. Islam is not for kids. Islam is for grown-ups. On Judgment Day, we will appear naked before Allah, and we'll have to give an account of how we lived our lives. We can do whatever we want in this world. He doesn't force us. But at the end of the day, as grown-ups, we have to say, I live my life like this because, and we will be judged accordingly. So we make our choices. The message of Islam is very simple. But as grown-ups, we've made it so complicated that people don't even understand what it's about. I will sum up Islam for you in 2 phrases. Islam teaches that there is a God, and Islam teaches that God speaks to his creation. That's Islam. That's the essence of Islam. There is a God, and that God speaks to his creation. Now that message is for all people on the earth. You know, as Muslims, we believe that Islam has existed since the beginning of time. It's the natural religion of mankind. And it speaks to the hearts of all men and women. You know, imagine in Haiti, when they had that terrible earthquake, and buildings come down, and there's a man who's never prayed in his life, and he's scrabbling in the rubble looking for his son. take my eyes, but save my boy. It's natural for people to feel that way. That's what Islam speaks to. There is a God. And it's not just a God out there. It's not some remote God. But it's a God who knows, he created the heavens and the earth and everything in between, but he also knows every leaf that falls from every tree. He knows all about us. And he speaks to us throughout history. He speaks. Often we go, listen, in Japan, you know, Japan isn't famous for religion. People are good people, but religion isn't the hallmark of Japan. Imagine a man standing in his village and he sees coming towards him a wall of water 30 feet high. It's natural in him for him to cry out, save us, save us. A plane traveling with people from their holiday and wherever they've been to, not a prayer in their lives. The engine cuts out and they always start to pray. Save us, God, save us, God. That's the message that Islam, they're the hearts that Islam speaks to. There is a God. We can fool ourselves that there isn't, but when push comes to shove, we know that there is one. You know, our little daughter gets ill. Even if we're the worst man in the world, we'll pray. Make her better. So Islam is very simple. Half the time, though, we only respond to the message of Islam when we want something. You know? We don't really pray much. We don't read the Quran much. Exam time comes around, we haven't really done much work, and we pray like mad. Because we want to pass our exams. We don't deserve to pass them, because we haven't done any work. But we pray, please Allah, I'll give up sweets. I'll never say bad words again. Please help me to pass my exam. It's not magic. We don't believe in magic. It's for grown-ups. Islam isn't magic. You do this and you say this and all of a sudden something will. It's not like that. We have to live good, honest lives, rooted in Allah Almighty, and it has to come in from our hearts. And it's natural for us to do so. In the Psalms, you know, in the Psalms of David, it's a very beautiful line. Like a deer that yearns for running streams, so my soul is thirsting for you, my God. Imagine the desert, and there's a deer, a gazelle, inside it there's no water. And the deer has been jumping and running and being chased by lions, and it's yearning for running streams. So my soul is thirsting. This is what the psalm writer writes. So my soul is thirsting for you, my God. As Muslims, as people of faith, we should be yearning, thirsting for God. You know, sometimes you hear people say, oh, it's such and such enough, we've got to pray now. We've got to pray. I hate that phrase. I hate it as one new to Islam. It's a phrase I never got used to. Come on, we've got to pray now. It's 10 past 3. Instead of saying we've got to pray now, we should be saying, look, it's time for us. We need to pray now. We need to. If we don't pray now, our lives won't be complete. We won't find happiness. Why do you think Allah Almighty chose that we pray 5 times a day? You know, some new Muslims write to me sometimes and say, Brother Idris, I live a very busy life, and I work hard, and there's nowhere to pray in the office building, you know, because all my friends are not Muslim, and they make fun of me. And so I say all the prayers when I get home at night. I say all 5 prayers at night. Is that allowed? And I say, well, really, you're completely missing the point. If that's what you're doing, you're missing the point altogether. It's not about that. It's not like ticking off. I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the end of it. It's not about that. Allah Almighty chose that the prayers, one would be right at the very start, before dawn. Then one of the prayers would be when the sun is at its height in the heavens. Then in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of our work. And then as the sun comes down, and then at night. Well, why did he do that? To make our whole day holy. If he just wanted us to pray 5 times a day, he would have told us, pray 5 times a day in the morning, pray 5 times a day at night. or pray 25 times every 5 days. But it's not the idea. The idea is to make our day, it's to make us think about Allah Almighty. But we've got to get into the rhythm of doing that. You know, or we just hear the adhan and it's just another noise in all the noise we hear in life. I used to live in Alexandria on the north coast, on Egypt's north coast, and beautiful, beautiful city. And in the morning, in Cairo it's noisy all the time, but in Alexandria it's quiet in the morning. And I'd be awake before Salat al-Fajr, and I'd hear in the distance, Allah, from the first mosque. And then another one, Allah, 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 Allah. Until the whole city breaks out in praise of Allah Almighty. The most beautiful sound. What sound could be more beautiful? Come to prayer, come to security, come to security. You know that in the war, if there's a war, people have air raid shelters that they can go and hide it, and the flames come, and the air raid sirens, woo, and everyone rushes into the air raid siren. It's the air raid shelter to protect themselves from the falling bombs. Well, the adhan is like that. It's calling us to take shelter from all those things in life that would harm us and overwhelm us and burden us. And it's saying, come and take refuge in me just for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, that's all it takes. Maybe 3. Come and take refuge in me. Come to security. Come to prayer. There's no God but the one God in heaven. That's the message of Islam. There is no thing, there's nothing. We can translate that with those words, La ilaha illallah. We can translate them many ways. The richness of the Arabic is difficult to translate, but what it means basically is that there is nothing worthy of worship, nothing but God alone. That's what it means. There's nothing worthy of worship. Nothing at all. But the problem is in life, there are so many things in our lives that we worship as are not of God. So we need all the time, like a new Muslim, we need to rediscover what Islam is about. We need to, for example, take a young man, university, on a Friday night. Is it Friday holiday here or Saturday? Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday is the weekend. So on a Friday night, his friends at university say, yeah, Yusuf, come with us tonight for a beer. Muslim boy. His friends are not Muslim. Come with us for a beer. And Yusuf says, I can't come with you. I'm Muslim. Can't come. They say, Yusuf, come with us to the disco tonight. Come to the integrated resorts. And we'll have a wild night tonight. And he says, I hope. He says, I can't come. I'm Muslim. And the poor lad, no one has ever told him why he can't go, why he can't drink the beer, why he can't go to the disco. No one ever explained it to him. All he sees is a burden on his shoulders. You can't do this, and you can't do that, and this is haram, and you mustn't do. Well, no one wants that in their lives. That's just rules and regulations that burden you down. But if we saw them in a different way, you know, Allah Almighty made us, and He knows what's best for us. But people write to me and they say, Brother Idris, why are Muslims not allowed to eat pork? Okay? Now, you get some people, very clever people, giving all sorts of omens for this reason, and it does this in your stomach, and it does that, and it does that. My answer is, because Allah tells us not to. That's why. That's the reason why. He knows all about us. And He tells us that pork is harmful to us. Good enough answer for me. He made the heavens and the earth and everything in between. You think He doesn't know about pork? Same with alcohol. Why do we not drink alcohol? Well, we can come up with a list of reasons. But the final reason is Allah tells us it's not good for you. It will harm you. You'll find yourself doing things you shouldn't be doing. And so many things to do with Islam. We need to rediscover Islam that we've been given as a gift. There's a difference, a big difference between saying our prayers and praying. Big difference. Saying our prayers. I've got to say pray yet, Ya Ahmed? Yes, it took me 1 minute. You know? We've lost, there's a very important word we've lost as Muslims, I'll be honest. You know, and to those of our friends, take them out who are not Muslim, I'll be honest. We've lost a word called humility. Humility means, you know, and as Muslims, you know, the very gesture of prayer that we have, we bow down on the ground and our foreheads touch the ground in prayer. What could be more humble a gesture than that? You know, we pray and the tears run down our faces and we say, Almighty Allah, you are everything and I am nothing without you. I can't even say my prayer in the morning without you. There's nothing I can do. You know, I dress up and people think I'm a really good Muslim, but I do all sorts of stuff. Because we can't carry on without him. But there's a big difference between going through the motions of praying and of praying. The big difference. I just been told 10 minutes. I need half an hour. I want to read you one article from the book, because it's crazy. There's a place in Egypt called Siwa, and Siwa is an oasis out in the western desert. And this is how I began. It's called, getting away from it all, Siwa Oasis. Siwa Oasis is one of the most beautiful and remote places in Egypt. It's been this way for centuries. Life goes on there undisturbed by the steady advance of technology, which we call progress. The people of Siwa Oasis, who speak their own language and have their own very distinct customs, far different from the rest of Egypt, have seen conquerors come and go, yet their lives and traditions go on. Alexander the Great made a long trek out through the Egyptian Sand Sea and the Libyan desert to consult the oracle of Amun, which very conveniently confirmed to him that he was divine. Italians, Germans, and British have passed through their armies on their way to vanquish foes the people of Siwa knew nothing about. So I talk about Siwa, and people go on holiday to this. It's a magical place. But I end, and this is the important thing about what I'm talking about tonight. I end like this. So the whole thing is talking about Siwa Oasis. So any tourist, pick up the book and read about Siwa Oasis, okay? And then I end like this. Muslims reading the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Kahf. I pray that my Lord will guide me even closer than this to what is right. We all need an oasis in our lives. Somewhere we can retreat to and refresh our spirits. It might be a favorite place, like a walk along the seashore or a visit to the park. Our oasis might even be a special piece of music or a book of poems that helps us to unwind. Our modern world is very busy. But we can still find places to get away to, even if only for an hour or so. In fact, we need to make space in our lives for such a place. This is not a place to escape from reality, forgetting our obligations and pretending we're someone else, but rather a place where we can escape to reality and put ourselves and our surroundings into perspective. That's what prayer is, by the way. It's an escape to reality. And all the rushing around and business and all of that's just pretending. What's important is that we come into this world with nothing and we leave it with nothing. And these 5 minutes we're on the earth are nothing compared to the vastness of eternity that we'll spend in the presence of Allah or not. Life, I've finished here, life surrounds us with a lot of rubbish, a lot of unnecessary baggage. And we carry this baggage around with us each day. Sometimes this weight is almost enough to crush us. Sometimes the cares of life seem more than we can bear. That's why our oasis is so important. Once there in our private place, we can see things as they really are. Away from, people in this world would love. Imagine all these businesses. Singapore is famous for business, isn't it? Global banking and all of this. So the business, economics. All of these people rushing around, they love the chance 5 times a day. They love it to leave the businesses and just go into a little room and gather their thoughts and the people then have to center themselves and think about what's really important in life. But most people aren't given that chance. We're given that chance. Away from the distractions which life heaps upon us. We can see how important our loved ones are to us. We can count one by one all the good things in our lives which we so often take for granted. And maybe in our own little oasis of hope we can spare a thought for our Creator and resolve when we go back into the wide world to try and do what's right and serve Him and our fellows better. You know, sometimes you hear Muslims talking about the Middle East. You hear them talking about Palestine and they say, oh, who's going to solve this problem for us? How will this ever end? Or in our own lives, you know, a bill comes. And there are some times in our lives, we've all been there. If you've not been there yet, it'll come. The bill comes and you haven't got the money to pay the bill. Yeah, and you don't know where the money's going to come. Sometimes even in our lives, let's be honest, if you haven't been there, it's a shame. Sometimes in our lives, we haven't even got money to feed our kids. How am I going to pay the rent? You know, I've not got money to put in the car. And sometimes all of these concerns can weigh us down and they can make us forget what's important. But what's important is Allah Almighty. Allah is important. And all the rest is just frivolity and trappings around that. He's the important one. You know, as Muslims we say 5 times a day, or rather we don't say 5 times a day. We don't say America al-Akbar. America is the most great. We don't say that. We don't say Israel al-Akbar. We don't say al-Salus money al-Akbar. We don't say that. We say Allahu Akbar. Allah, God Almighty is the most great. That's what we say as Muslims. But we either believe it or we don't. How could we allow the cares of this world to crush us when He who created everything tells us, trust in me. I will give you everything you need for a full and happy life. All you need to do is trust in me. Allahu Akbar. And if, as the people of Allahu Akbar, we really believe here and hear what we're saying with our lips, there is nothing that can overcome us. Not foreign governments or political systems or the boss at work or troubles we're having with the family. Nothing can overcome us. Because then, you know, we'll have a center and the center will be Allah Almighty. Inshallah, over these days, I hope to see all your faces over these days, because I wanted to scratch the surface of what we're going to talk about. Tomorrow, before the talk tomorrow, I'm going for dinner with the Anglican bishop here in Singapore. And then I chance the talk after it will be about interfaith dialogue and being friends with our non-Muslim neighbors. And then we're going to talk about prayer the next day. What's important in our lives is prayer. And then finally we're going to talk about what it is to become a Muslim. And now that doesn't mean just people who become Muslim, it means all of us. We're all new Muslims. You know, there's a brother in Cairo, teaches at the American University in Cairo. He's in his 80s. Abdullah, he's American. And he became Muslim 50 odd years ago. And he says to me, Idris, when will they stop calling me a new Muslim? He said, I'll be Muslim longer than any of them. But they call me, well, we're all new Muslims. All of us, every day. And if we're not, well, we've missed something very important in life. Inshallah, by listening to Allah's voice, He will lead us to the place. Well, He will lead us to heaven, inshallah. But in this world, He will lead us to peace and security and happiness. وَبَدَأَ فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ